Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. Really super excited to be here. Want to thank the 49ers and Nelson and Aaron. And we will just jump right into it if we can. We have a fellow member of our meetup here. Deborah is going to join us and tell us about her experiences with NFL Films, Super Bowl 50 crew.
Hi, I'm Deborah, and tonight I want to share with you some of my experiences and lessons learned while I worked with NFL Films as part of the Wires crew at Super Bowl 50. And hopefully, when I conclude my remarks, this will make a little bit more sense to you. Before I dig in, though, Brian thanked his crew, but I want to take a moment and thank Brian for spearheading these meetups. These gatherings, I think, have really garnered a reputation for being an excellent place not only to learn, but to share and to connect. So thank you. Okay. So one thing you should know about me is that I am a complete football nut, and I have been all my life. That's me in the middle. So when it's back in October, early October, and I get a call, and it's from my friend and mentor, Phil Bowen. And he's like, NFL Films needs crew for the Super Bowl. Are you interested? And I'm like, what? Yes, absolutely. And he says, good, because I already told him you're doing it. And so I go, hang on, Phil, there's a call coming in on the other line. And he goes, good, it's them. And he hung up on me, okay? So that's how I ended up joining NFL Films. And it was a really good time. And so let me explain to you what the Wires crew does. So let me explain to you what the Wires crew does not do. It has nothing to do with coiling cable. Okay, that's not the Wires crew. Although I'm perfectly capable of coiling a lot of cable because a while back I worked as a camera intern on Red Tails, and my responsibility was to coil 100 yards of cable. And yards, not feet. And so let me tell you, you have not lived until you've coiled 100 yards of cable through the mud at Kerner Optical, setup after setup, with the DP and a stopwatch watching you. So it was hard, but I really found that I was able to develop my skills quite quickly. The silver lining to that, of course, is that my extension cords at home are pristine. Those puppies are never gonna tangle. They're beautiful. So let's get back to the Wires crew. What the Wires crew is, essentially is, if you watch the football broadcasts or any other sports broadcasts, and they're mic'd up. So you have a player, they have a mic, and a camera is ISO'd on them. And our mandate in the Super Bowl was to follow two players. And there was DeMarcus Ware, and there was Roman Harper. And I had headphones on, and I had Roman Harper, and I could hear everything. So it started in the locker room, but we had the camera only on the sidelines and for the game. And so basically, there were a total of 5 of us involved with this. And our mandate was to create 18-second packages, is what they called. And it was like, mic'd up with Roman Harper. And basically, I sat there, I was watching. I don't know if you can see, there's some green tape on the monitors there. Those are the 2 ISO cameras. And I had some paper and a pen, so we went old school, and I was just writing down time code and then why I thought a particular snippet would be interesting. And I'd pass it up to the senior producer, and then he and the EVS operator would zoom through time code and double check and find these snippets and see if it was worthwhile, if it was something that they wanted to build into this 18 seconds. And if that was the case, they started cutting on the fly. It was amazing to watch this gentleman work. It was so cool. So once the 18-second package was determined to be ready, it would go over to the CBS producer, and you can't see me sitting on the other side there, and he would take a look at it, and if he said, okay, that's good, he would then pitch it to the broadcast producer, who ultimately decided when it would be shown or if it would be shown on TV. And that's essentially what we were doing the whole time. And it was so much fun, but it was like really, intense because you're watching and you're writing and everybody's, cutting and talking, and the energy was like completely amazing. I wanted to share something. This is Daryl Campbell, and he was my partner. So he had DeMarcus Ware, I had Roman Harper, and he's an ex-NFL football player. And he's like 6'4" and I don't know, 300 pounds of muscle. The guy is enormous, but he's so talented and so interesting, and I just wanted to share a little bit about him. He played his college ball at Notre Dame, and he was projected to go in the second round of the draft. And if you know football, you know that he's one of the better elite players in the country if you're going to go second round. Well, what happened to him was just before the draft, he blew out his knee. And basically, everybody sort of abandoned him. And he didn't get drafted. He went from projected second round to not getting drafted. And I said to him, Terrell, I mean, how do you even begin to recover from that? And forget about the knee injury, the psychology behind up here, and then everybody left him alone. And he said to me, look, it's really simple. If I ever want to be on a championship team, if I ever am going to have a chance at a ring, what I have to do is focus and put 100% of my energy into getting ready for the call. I have to be ready for the call. And I thought, wow, isn't that sort of an empowering perspective? He's not waiting for the call, he's getting ready for the call. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try and incorporate that into my mindset. And so a couple of weeks ago, I get a call, and I'm like, hello. And then this is what I hear. Is this Deborah J. McDonald, the fabulous filmmaker? And I'm like, yes, it's the call. Somebody has a production emergency, and they're calling me to solve it. And this is fantastic, and I'm ready. And it wasn't that. It was actually our fabulous Brian Grady, who's always funny and ever charming, inviting me to speak here tonight. And in my books, that's just as good as a production emergency phone call. But, and I'm ready for the next call. But just to finish off Daryl's story, he was ready for the call, and it did come. And it came from his network. It came from, I think, one of his college coaches. And he signed with the Chicago Bears, and he played in the league. And eventually, he ended up in the Canadian Football League, and he played for the Montreal Alouettes. And they won the Grey Cup that year that he was playing, and that's the Canadian Super Bowl. So he got his ring. He actually did. And so I wanted to share that with you because I thought that's an amazing thing. Don't wait for the call. Be ready for the call. So in conclusion, be ready for the call. And use your network as well, because my opportunity to be at the Super Bowl came from my personal network. His opportunity came from his. And, I think you don't realize how vast and powerful your network is necessarily. And I'll give you a final example. I worked on American Idol for 2 seasons way at the beginning. So you've got Paula, you have Randy, you have Simon, and so I know Paula Abdul. Paula Abdul knows Kevin Bacon. So in the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, she's a 1. That makes me a 2. And by being here tonight, do you know what that makes you? That makes you a 3, okay? Right? But it gets even better. Go home and empower your own personal network and make somebody at home a 4, right? So that pretty much concludes it, and hopefully that makes sense now. Can I have the room? That's it. Thank you.